What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Power and Science of Money podcast, brought to you by your man King Freeze. Now, this week we're going to be talking about the time value of money. Last week we talked about the psychology of money. If you haven't seen that episode, make sure you watch it before you watch this because they're all interconnected, and you should watch one to get a full understanding of the episode that you're currently watching. Now, let's talk about the time value of money. A dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow. Why is that? Remember, inflation. Money is inflating every year. So if you hold that $100 under the mattress today and you whip it out tomorrow, the value of it has fallen. Now, there's a calculation that you can use to figure out what the present and the future value of some money is. Now, why would you need this, right? Let's say you are presented a deal, and I'm going to simplify these numbers. I'm going to go oversimplify these numbers so that you can understand it. Now, let's say I came to you today and I say, hey, I'll give you $120 in 1 year, or option number one, I'll give you $100 today. Which one do you want to take? Now, remember the psychology of most people, they want to be instantly gratified. So they'll take the $100 today. Why? Because they can get that money in their hand and go spend it, right? That's what they want to do. So they want to make sure that, but you want to make sure that you're making the best deal. Now, let's say that you're a savvy investor and you're thinking in your head, because you're like, man, I've been watching the Power and Science of Money podcast, and Freeze told me that if I invested right, I could probably grow it by 10%. I'm going to take the $100 a day. Did you make the right deal? No. Why? Because they're offering 120. Now, you grew it by 10%. What is 10% of 110 in 1 year? Is 100, of 110 in 1 year. It's $110. That's not a good deal. You just cheated yourself out of $10. Now, I brought up an oversimplification over here on my calculator right here. And I chose this website for no particular reason. So don't be thinking that, I'm getting like sponsored by them. But if they do want to sponsor me, hit me up at www. No, I don't got a website. Anyway, okay, let's check this out. So let's look at the future value of the first deal. The first deal, I say, I'll give you $100. And then we have to think about what is the future value of this $100, right? That's what we want to know. So is 1 year going to pass? We're hoping that we can grow it by 10% annually, which is 1 year. That means that in 1 year, that $100 is worth $110, right? But I offered you $120. So the correct way to look at that presentation should have been, what is the future value of this $100? Or what do I think I can grow this $100 into in the future? But the second deal, you need to ask yourself, what is that $120 worth today, right? So we're going to do this $120, 120. So the future value, so we want to find the future value of the second deal or the first deal or whatever. The future value is 120. Remember I said I'll give you $120 in 1 year. The present value of that 120, again, 10%, we got to reverse discount it, 1 year. The current value of that $120 would be 109. Let's say 110. Well, let's say 109, just to be on the safe. I know somebody else. Well, what about that $1? Well, let's keep it at 109 then. So you still have a better deal. Now, you could have made a counter offer and said, listen, give me $109 today, and we got a deal, because that would be the equivalent of getting 120 in 1 year, right? So now you're making a better deal. Now, had I said I give you 100 and what was the future value of that 100? Now, if I say I gave you $105 in 1 year, the better deal would be to take this today. Now, I keep these numbers really small because I want you to understand and grasp the concept of it. But you can multiply these numbers by millions, So I could say something like, what if I give you, what I just put out on my website, right? Let me look on here, because not my website, on my Instagram, I put out a proposal right there. I think I still have it up on my screen. Let's see here. I put out, oh, that's not it. That was some old craziness. I don't know what the heck that was. But let's see if I can find it here. It was okay. I asked you guys, would you rather take $50,000 today or $500,000 in 20 years? Now let's look at this. All right. I said 50,000 today, right? So we want to find the future value of 50,000 today. 1, 2, 3. And I said 20 years. So we're going to put 20. and let's just say the interest it grows, we're good investors, so we're getting a consistent 10% forever, right? So the future value of this the future value of this 50,000 in 20 years will be, bam, it would be $336,375 in 20 years. The present value is 50,000. This is how much interest that was incurred, 10%. We didn't put any money on top of it, and that's the capital growth on it. But now let's look at what that $500,000 is worth today, right? So we go, the future value is, as soon as I get my calculator, my finger to work, right? 500,000. That's what it was, right? 500,000. Yeah, 500,000. Yeah, 500,000 in 20 years. So 1, 2, 3, 10%, 20 years. What is the present value of that $500,000? That would be $74,321.81 is what that $500,000 is worth today. If we were having a consistent 10%, that would never happen. We're not going to have a consistent percentage the entire way. This is just for example purposes. But if you were to say, if I were to flip that and say, I give you 80,000 today or $500,000 in the future, then based off what this calculator is telling us, that would be a better deal to take the 80,000 today, because we think that we can grow that money. So let's flip that scenario. Let's say I give you $500,000 in 20 years, or I can give you 80K today. Now, let's just change this to 80 and hit calculate. The future value is $538,200. So we made a profit, a better deal, about $38,200 just by making sure that we're ensuring that we're getting the best deal possible. So not sure when this might fall into your lap, but it's better to know this information than to make the bad choice of making the wrong deal because you're working off your impulse of your system one. Now, that's a little bit something that we're going to talk about also, because there's a current book. I told you all, guys, I read one book a week. And this book I'm re-listening to Think Fast and Slow. There's two systems in your brain. There's a system one that thinks really quick. That's what we based our instinct off of. And there's system two that's real analytical. It breaks down these types of problems. Now, the average person works off their system one when they're given a deal like this, because they have this artificial belief that, or illusion, that they can make wonders happen, and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll take the $50,000 today, and I can flip it into $1 million in 1 week." People have these outrageous ideas of what they think they're capable of doing, and they're not really capable of doing it. So your system two needs to really break these deals down. So had I gave you an option of 80,000 today or 500,000 in the future, you using that calculator, you just go to that website, you would know that 80,000 today is better than $500,000 in the future. Just as you would have known that 50K today is a horrible deal compared to what it could be in the future, compared to what that $500,000 is worth today. I know that's a lot. If you don't understand it, re-watch this video or reach out to me and I can explain it to you more slowly. I don't charge. I love helping people understand money. I want you all to understand money, because I want all of you to have the power and understand the science of money, because this is what keeps driving us, and this is what's going to make us like the financial geniuses and beasts that we need to be in our lives, because we want to have freedom to do the things that we want to do unimpeded by everything. Now, the next episode, I kind of talked about this all in episode 1, where I gave a little breakdown about what the financial system is. But I've been getting a lot of texts, now that I'm up to 22, followers. I feel like I'm really king of the industry right now. So, someone slid in my inbox and said, "Hey, can you break down a little bit more about the financial system that we're in?" Now, that's kind of a complicated subject, so I'm going to cover it in the next episode. So, like I said, I try to keep these things to 10 minutes. I think, what are we running at right now? We just a little bit over 10 minutes right now. So we're making good time. So if you want to know how the system works and how everything that I've taught you so far, we're going to do a little review. Everything that you learned so far, how it is helpful in making sure that you're safe in this system that we're in right now. Because I'm telling you right now, inflation is going up. Why? Because they just inflated the money supply by trillions of dollars. Trillions. So that means that the cost of everything's going to go up eventually. The cost of goods will eventually catch up with inflation. They just sent out all these stimulus checks 3 or 4 times, 3 or 4 or 5 rounds of stimulus check. It will affect the price of goods, whether now or in the near future. It will affect. So that's why you need to make sure that you're taking the money that you have or all extra money that you do have and investing it so that it can grow at a quicker pace than what the inflation will grow at. Because there's one thing for certain, 2 things for sure, that the inflation is going to grow and your money needs to grow at the minimum at the same rate as inflation, and at best 2 to 3 times better if you can. If you can do it. You just need to grow. You need to stay ahead of the game. Don't sit there and let your money just not do anything, because you will regret it. And I'm going to be looking at you working at 80 years old when the rest of us who are the Power and Science of Money podcast listeners, we're going to be retired and living free at whatever age that we feel is our financial free number. You need to think about that number. You need to know your own psychology of making this money. You need to understand your goals and your vision, because once you understand your goals and your visions, then you watching this podcast, you will be able to make the moves and do the things that you want to do. Now, this has been the Power and Science of Money. I can't even talk now. This has been the Power and Science podcast, brought to you by your man King Freeze. And until next time, peace.